Hello, it's Whoosh here. It's Wes, and I just randomly wanted to make a video showing all of the horror games that I've got, and pretty much just giving like a brief description why it's cool, why I like it, and yeah. So, I'll get started now. So, first I'm going to start off with the PS1. Not that many for the PS1, got the essentials though. So, first off, I'm going to start with Alone in the Dark. And this is an interesting game. It's very Resident Evil, which is the reason why I picked it up. I know that this one is it's one of the ugliest versions graphically, but it's not got audio issues if I remember correctly. But yes, I've played it briefly. It is a pretty cool game. It uses the flashlight like Silent Hill. Not as good though, but it's still it's still a game worth picking up and playing. You can find it for pretty cheap as well. So, but next up we have Resident Evil. Yes, I've got the platinum. I don't care about the platinum games. I'm not that much of a collector. Like, as long as I've got the game, that's all I give a shit about. So, but yeah, I don't need to explain Resident Evil. Fucking classic. Well, it's right behind me, but this is the remake, which is just, well, the first one pretty much started it all. It's thanks to this that survival horror kind of bloomed because of how successful it was, and it also, made the PS1 something worth, wanting to have. So, next up, we've got Resident Evil 2. Now this is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, video game sequel ever. Like, it did everything that the first game did, but better. It retained its horror. It introduced more action, more weapons. You've got Claire's scenario, as well as Leon's. I preferred Leon's. But it also has the best, most technically impressive console port, in my opinion, which is the N64 version of Resident Evil 2, which came out around the same time as Code Veronica released for the PS2 and GameCube. So it's quite late, because obviously Nemesis came out by then. But the fact that they managed to get 2 CDs filled with cutscenes on a single cartridge is unreal, and it is an expensive port, but it's an impressive one. But the game is just awesome, and obviously I just mentioned it, but Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So Jill's back from the first game, and this one was originally meant to be a little side game. It wasn't really, as far as I know, it wasn't meant to be the mainline title. It was actually Code Veronica, which is the true Resident Evil 3. But that got put as like a side game, even though it's, it literally follows the story on perfect from 2. Whereas this is kind of like what's happening during 2 or before 2. I'm pretty sure this happened before Leon and Claire were in the city, and then it's happening during. By the time this finishes, that's when Resident Evil 2. It's really cool. But Nemesis scary motherfucker chases you everywhere. You know, it's not even the fact of he doesn't stop. It's more of like you'll be in a room searching something, or you know, picking up herbs in the corner, and then you'll hear the door open, which, you know, I know zombies can do that, but you hear the door open and then you say stars, and that's it, and then the music ramps up, and then he's like just runs out around the corner, you know, the game over pretty much. But I think it's really good. Really fun. It's kind of underappreciated out of the original 3, because obviously you got the first, which started it, then you got 2, which is crowned the best Resident Evil, and then this came out, and some people were like, I'm done with the series. Some people were like, oh my god, it's awesome. Fun fact, these games I never played up until the past couple of years. I actually started on Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation 2, and then I did the GameCube version, which is, I prefer the GameCube version. But yes, awesome game. So that's my PS1 collection done. Now I'm going to move on to PS3. I've only got 2. I'm not really done a lot of collecting for games. I have more, actually, hold your horses. Correction, I found 5 more horror games all along here. PS3 games. I didn't look there on it. First video doing this anyway. So first off, we have got Clive Barker's Jericho, and this is very weird. It's so you're in like a team of, I think it's 6, and each person's got their own powers, supernatural powers. You've got different weapons. It says intense squad-based FPS action, battle horrific creatures, awesome weapons and paranormal powers. Intense, a blur of spilled blood and bullets from IGN. So yeah, you basically, as far as I remember from the story, you're basically looking through these pyramids. I think the treasure hunters, and lots of evil shit starts rising, and then you have to kill it. So, but yeah, there's one of them. Now this one is one of my favourite horror games of all time, and that is First Encounter Assault Recon, or Fear. Now, I've not got the physical version of the second Fear, but the second Fear is my favourite in the entire series. This though, you can't, it's a classic. My favourite thing to do on this is, apart from being shit scared, is doing the slow-mo, jumping, and then doing the kick, because the ragdoll physics just, they flip out, the characters just skadoosh. Or I like getting the shotgun, the combat shotgun, and blasting them, and then they go and ragdoll. But it's a creepy ass little girl stalks you. At the same time, you're hunting a cannibal. So you're hunting the cannibal, and the little girl is hunting you. So it's a very interesting concept, and obviously the stories whatever. Right, next we have, while we're on Resident Evil, the Gold Edition of Resident Evil 5, which has all of the DLC on disc. I am aware there's a PS4 version. I've got it digitally. I just want this for physical purposes. It says the Ultimate Resident Evil 5 Collection, Resident Evil 5 plus add-on packs and extra costumes. And the DLC, Lost in Nightmares, is better than the entire game. And this is a fun co-op game, but it's not a scary Resident Evil game. Truth be told, the only 2 things that scared me in this game was the crocodiles when you're in the swamp area, because by the time I got there I pretty much had no bullets, and the I think they're called Reapers, like big massive bugs they're just a one-hit kill basically, and if you don't have good aim when the chest glowy bit is exposed, you're dead. and they're just not very nice. But yeah, kind of when the game series started going downhill, even though I still enjoy it, and I did get the platinum on this, and it's a fun co-op game, so it's definitely still worth giving a go, and it's still cheap as chips. So now it's more of a goofy game, but it's still a survival horror technically, and it's made by Shinji Mikami. It's got the music creators of Silent Hill, and that is Shadows of the Damned. Now, this game is hilarious. I'll be honest, I've not tried any Suda 51 games until this year. This and Killer is Dead, just wacky. This is hilarious though. It plays like Resident Evil 4, except ironically, you can move and shoot in this before Resident Evil 6. So this came out, I'm pretty sure this came out before Resident Evil 6, and it basically perfected one of the critiques that the main games had, which was, why the fuck is you stood there while I'm shooting? Why can't you move? Stupid shit like that, but it's a brilliant game. It's quite pricey now though, but it's it's still worth picking up if you can. It's just hilarious, and the gun is a talking entity. He like shapeshifts into his bike that he drives down Hell's Highway. He transforms into a massive penis cannon. Ridiculous. Now this is easily the worst in the series, and this is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. And that fella there being choked was pretty much every single person who bought this game when it came out. This is a short fucking game. It can be beaten like 4 hours, and it's not a fun 4 hours. I mean, co-op, it's a fun goof around 4 hours, but it's not a good Resident Evil 4 hours. The graphics are ugly as shit. The story is basically like a what if, so it's like during Resident Evil 2, but I think you're sent after like Leon, Claire, and the main heroes in that game to eliminate them, pretty much. And the ending is just it's just so crap. The only good thing about the game is he looks cool because he's like a mentor to Hunk, and Hunk's in the game. The only good bit, and that's at the very beginning. Then you don't see him again. But yeah, Operation Raccoon City. Now, this is a different take on horror, and I think that it's a series that needs to come back, and that is Condemned 2. Not as good as Condemned 1. Condemned 1 is still superior. It's very interesting though. Condemned 1 to me was scarier, mainly because you had the enemies in it weren't, apart from towards the end of the game, they weren't really supernatural in essence like this. In this, there's still bad guys in there, but they're mainly like supernatural, and it's all like a mental trip, and everything's like messing up, and there's mannequins everywhere, and stuff like that. But in the first game, you're an FBI agent who's gone to investigate a crime scene, and criminals swarm this like abandoned apartment complex, and you've basically got to survive and find a way out and just defend yourself. And sometimes the criminals can be goofy, but the way that the audio is in that game, even today, you can hear them run above you, you can hear them behind the walls, you can hear them breaking pipes off walls. So, brilliant game series. It needs to come back because there's not many melee-based game series of horror that does it well. Obviously you've got Silent Hill, but the gameplay just isn't good. the story and the atmosphere and the puzzles are good, the enemies and all that, but not the gameplay. The gameplay is janky as shit, but this, brilliant. You need to pick this up. It's fairly cheap on the PS3. Now, this, I mainly got the PS3 version of this. I've got the PS4 version digitally again. Uh, I mainly got this version because I've got a CRT TV behind me to play this on for shits and giggles, especially because I'm going to be watching the new Alien film soon, so I'm very excited. But that is Alien Isolation Ripley Edition. Now, I don't get any of the benefits of the Ripley Edition because it's pre-owned, but this is the best Alien game, hands down ever. If they make a sequel to this, I will literally cream my pants. It is brilliant. The Alien is complex and insane, so if you're sneaking an event and it finds you in the vent and kills you, when you respawn, that alien knows that you like to hide in the vents, so it'll regularly then start checking the vents, even in new areas. So let's say if you've not been in an event for a while, it'll still check these vents because it found you once, and that's how the AI adapts. Think of it like Doomsday. You know, Doomsday, he dies, comes back, and then whatever he was killed by, he becomes immune to. It's kind of like this. If you get killed by him in an event, he'll constantly check the vents. But that's not all. In the console versions of the game, if you've got a PS5 controller with the mic enabled, or you've got a headset on, it can hear your mic. So not only does the scanner that you have that goes beep beep beep, it can hear that, but it can also hear any noise that you make through your headset. And obviously the reason why they've done that is because you're going to be most likely wearing a headset for the audio to get immersed. But I learned the hard way because I was coughing. Alien was nowhere near me, I was hiding absolutely fine, just underneath the table, and I started coughing and the alien just turned around and went, and then ran straight for me, and it was the craziest shit ever. So you need to pick that up. Now, that's PS3 done, PS1 done. Now I'm going to go to PS4, and then I've got 3 different console left, but yeah, so we've got Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which Biohazard is the Japanese name for the Resident Evil series, so in Japan it's probably called Biohazard 7 Biohazard or Biohazard 7 Resident Evil, which would be pretty cool. But it's pretty much came after Resident Evil 6 and Revelations 2, and they completely changed up how the game played. So it went from over the shoulder to first person, and I believe personally it's mainly to do with the success that PT had, so playable teaser Silent Hills on the PS4. Because when it was revealed, it was kind of like this reminds me of PT, and the demo that they had, you couldn't have any weapons, it was all puzzles, and it was very somber, very fucking scary, and obviously in the main game you do have weapons and it's a bit more action orientated, but it's very, it seems like it's inspired by like Wrong Turn, what's that one film now? Wrong Turn, Evil Dead, you know, stuff like that, because it's like a family that was all happy and dandy, and they were like innocent people, and now they're grotesque and they're killing you, and you have to hide and craft and puzzles and all this stuff. And they link it into the old games really good, but I think this is a brilliant game, and it is quite scary. Obviously, if you've been through it a few times, you know where a lot of the stuff is, and it could be like, you can complete it fairly quick if you know what you're doing, but you need to pick it up. It is a good game, and it's PlayStation VR compatible. Never played it on PlayStation VR because I cannot afford that fucking shit. So this Resident Evil Origins collection, Resident Evil 1 remake, which is behind me, and then Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 1 remake, the best remake ever, even better still than the Resident Evil 2 remake that's out now and RE4. It's just, they took everything great about that game and was just like, right, we need to make it that game but better. And they took out any negatives about it and they just made it better. It's fucking beautiful looking, the music's amazing, the fact that they've added more puzzles, and you got the different camera angles. It's just an awesome game. And obviously Resident Evil Zero, originally an N64 game, then went to a GameCube game. It's a good game, same graphics as RE1 Remake. However, the thing that ruined it a lot was the inventory system. That inventory system is absolutely fucking piss water. It is horrible because, you know, in RE1 Classic, Remake, 2, 3, you have a chest, you have an items box, you put stuff in. Even the RE2 Remake, you know, and RE3, you put stuff in the box that you don't need, key items, blah blah. In this, no, you just drop it on the floor, you don't need that yet, drop it. So it can, backtracking becomes awful in that game, but it's still a good game. It kind of gives you like, it kind of confuses me a bit because it's set before RE1, it's got Rebecca who is in RE1, but the thing is, she acts really surprised in the RE1 Remake and mortified about what she's seeing, but she's seen like just equally as worse in RE0, but she's not reacting accordingly to it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, brilliant games. So I was very happy to get that, and I got it for a tenner. So, and then I just mentioned this Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now this, I'm kind of torn. If I want to play RE4 and I want a scarier playthrough, so if I want like more of a serious toned horror, I will play the remake. You know, good graphics. It pretty much does everything the original game does, but it has changed quite a lot. And I don't think it doesn't replace the first one to me, because the first one's a product of its time still. The way the jokes are, how Leon acts is completely different in that game to this. In this, he's more serious, he's got like PTSD. In the original, he's wise, you know, ladies man, I'm gonna looking roundhouse kick you and then go fishing type of thing. Both brilliant games though. I don't own RE4, I do, but not on the PlayStation. I don't own the RE2 Remake or 3 Remake. Physically, I've got RE2 digitally, and I bought RE3 physically, the remake. Beat it once and traded it in. I'm not really happy with that game, but awesome game. Right, now, controversial one a little bit. We got the Callisto Protocol. I got this for a £5, and it's from the minds of Dead Space. Brilliant game, one of my favourite game series ever. And they basically made a new take on it in a way. The story's pretty cool, the graphics are incredible, but unfortunately the combat, you can cheese it really easily by using the stasis, you know, to throw your enemies and stuff. Or if you just shoot the legs off the enemies and then climb up or down the surface, they can't climb, so they just die. And a lot of the major big bosses, when you do a melee to them, you can just melee them, and there's an animation that they do where they basically take some of your health, but never past like 10%, and you just like move you out of the way. It's like an animation, but you still do damage to them. So if you've not got any health and you're playing on the hardest difficulty, you can just melee them and just keep meleeing them, and they'll like animation punch you, but then you just get back up and just keep doing it. It's a good attempt, but the whole performance issues on PCs and just the whole media surrounding the game at the time, it just wasn't really good. It's still a fun game, and it still can be quite unnerving to play, but yeah. Now, this isn't a well-known game. It's Tormented Souls. And the reason why I picked this up is because it is a brand new IP, it's a new series, it's a new survival horror series, but it plays like RE1 Remake, which is behind me, but it's completely new, different characters, different setting, different enemies, different everything, and it is fucking brilliant. They've got a second one coming out. This was really cheap, it was like £9 brand new to buy, so it was a no-brainer. But it says on the back, classic survival horror is back. Players Caroline Walker explore the terrifying hells of an abandoned mansion in a hunt for missing twin girls. But you're not alone, facing sinister enemies in deadly combat and solving fiendish puzzles. Ooh, can you confront your fears and uncover the secrets of Winter Lake? Or will you die trying? Awesome game, absolutely incredible. And the final PS4/5 game, the Dead Space remake. Now this, again, is an example of one of the best remakes ever. This, to me, you have no reason to go back to the original. This overtakes it. And I'm annoyed because they were making the second one and they cancelled it. Cheers, EA. Nice. But, yeah, so a lot of the stuff they changed from the first game. You have the tram system, which was used to basically load chapters for the game to load, and it was seamless at the time because it was just like an idle animation of Isaac standing in the ship, cracking his neck, shit like that. In this, there's zero loading screens. It's all seamless, one action camera, kind of like the God of War series. And they've basically turned it into a semi-open world exploration type of thing now, so you can explore the ship any point, any time that you want. You're not confined to the tram, and you have to, it's kind of cool, you have to walk through the ship. So not only did they change the travel, they brought back the zero gravity from the second game, which is just better than the Superman jump of the first one. And in order for you to activate the tram, they've made it so that you had to walk through different parts of the ship that they added in this remake, which are not there. They remade the entire ship in the Frostbite 4 engine to make it work. And it's absolutely incredible. And one of the best things that they've done in this, they made it scarier. There's segments where you have to power a door with a battery, but you have to sacrifice something to get that door open. So if there's a door that you know has got a module behind it, like a power node or a suit, you can open that door, but you have to sacrifice lights or maybe oxygen, so you're on a timer, or you'll set off an alarm, which will, bring more necromorphs to the area. It's just a brilliant game. You need to try it. I got it physically, but it is on Game Pass on PC, Series X and S, or you could just get it on PS5. But awesome game. Right, so now we'll go on to the very select titles for the Xbox, and then it'll be Xbox, Wii U and Wii, and then PS2, and then first video's done. So first off, for the original Xbox, we have The Thing. Now this game is absolutely terrifying. So not only have you got a squad with you, but you don't know who you can trust. It's kind of like the film. So it says, where the movie ended, the true terror begins. In the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, a mysterious shape-shifting alien form has wiped out an American scientific outpost. You're Captain Blake, leader of the military rescue team sent to investigate the carnage. Trapped by the elements infected a horror enemy, you must keep your squad together, control their fear, gain their trust, and you might survive. So, it's like the film. The alien can be impersonating any of your crew, or any random people that you encounter is terrifying. Game is awesome. I've not played a lot of it because admittedly I only got it this month. And I mainly got it because of the remastering it. Trying to think who they're called now. Night Dive Studio. They're remastering it and bringing it to a modern console, so I just wanted to experience the OG on a CRT because I'm weird like that, rather than getting the remaster, which I probably will anyway when it hits on sale. Next, it's not a survival horror game, it's just like a horror story game, and that's Fahrenheit. And this is the limited edition, but this was by Atari. So you open it and it gives you the game reviews and scores from the time, as well as a badass poster. And then you got the back, and then here's the game. It's called Fahrenheit here in the UK, but in America I'm pretty sure it's called Indigo Prophecy. But it is just such a crazy story, and it's got one of the wildest game openings ever. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it pretty much starts with you cutscene in a diner, and then your guy that you play as is like flipping out in the store, and he's just stabbing this one guy in the bathroom repeatedly, and it's just quite horrific. But the story is just, I'm pretty sure the people that made Heavy Rain made this before Heavy Rain, but awesome game, you need to get it, it's really good, really good. I know I said I was doing Xbox games. I'm just going to do this one first before I do the next Xbox game, because it only makes sense. And that is Project Zero, or Fatal Frame in America. So, Fatal Frame / Project Zero, you're pretty much a girl, and you're armed with a camera which can defeat ghosts. It sounds silly, and it sounds like something that shouldn't be scary, but it is, because you're not really defending yourself, and it's because it's a magical camera. It's not like a little shitty Nokia little phone that you have to wind up like. No, it's none of that. It's a pretty cool camera. But the thing is with this game, obviously the ghosts trying to harm you are scary, but the ghosts that aren't trying to harm you are scarier. The entire game is just unnerving, Silent Hill type of unnerving, but obviously this is mainly supernatural. This isn't like a manifestation type of story. This is just pure evil ghosts and spirits and nasty shit. Brilliant game. I've only played it this year, but man, it's scary. That is scary, and it's worth picking up. That leads me to Project Zero 2, the Director's Cut, or Fatal Frame 2. Crimson Butterfly. This is like Nemesis on crack. The bitch that chases you in this makes Nemesis look like the Tooth Fairy, the Rock. You know, Dwayne Johnson, like you're getting chased by the Rock after you've played this. This bitch is scary, and it's just nice graphics. You know, you got the extra episodes. There's a first-person mode, which I've not tried, but I've heard it's pretty cool. But this game is just, to me, it's again an example of a good sequel, and it's my favourite in the series. It's just an awesome game, but they're very pricey now. These games are. They're going up on the up and up. They're already like £20-something. Number 3, which is on the PS2, goes for like £80, and it's just ridiculous because I'm not paying that. I'd rather just emulate it. So, but yeah, awesome game. And that concludes my Xbox list. So now I've got 4 PS2 games. Very quickly, this one. It's Alone in the Dark, but it's the PS2 version. I already spoke about this. It's pretty much it's the exact same game. It's got a few extra bits in it, and the cutscenes and the character models and everything look a lot nicer, but it's got audio issues. So it's kind of like a big compromise. So you've got the PS1 version, which looks the ugliest but has the best audio. But I wouldn't even say ugly, it's like a different style. It reminds me more of the Resident Evil series. So to me, this feels like a pseudo remaster, but with the audio fucking up. But yeah, it's Alone in the Dark. Can't complain. Now, The Suffering. Now this, to me, best way I can describe this game is a third person Punisher crossed with Condemned. But mainly supernatural, demonic evil shit. But you're just basically a guy going around, there's all this horrible twisted monsters trying to kill you, there's people getting slaughtered, ripped apart, and you're just a guy in a wife beater vest with a shotgun, smoking a cigar, just not giving a shit. But it's definitely an unnerving game, and a very good game series, and that brings me to The Suffering 2, The Ties That Bind. Now, I'm not really playing a lot of this one. I know that this one is more action orientated and more arcadey. The first one's more horror themed. I prefer the horror themed, hence why I'm doing this, video. But it's still a pretty good game, so it's worth picking. Now this one, admittedly, I only knew because of a YouTuber called Alpha Omega Sin, who comes and goes in terms of doing YouTube, but he, I've learned a lot of these games because of him, and I'm very thankful for it. And there's this one called Run Like Hell, and this is the that's the biggest rip-off, copyright infringement. You can just tell it's the alien, it's the xenomorph, and that's pretty much where you get chased by. So you got weapons, you got story. It could be the story, but it's still it's an interesting game. It's more of a Run Like Hell. You don't really have a lot of bullets, and the bullets that you do have and weapons you do have only really scare it. So to me, it's kind of like a worse 3D version of Alien Isolation, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, if you'd see it for a decent price, I got it for a £5, so £5, so can't really complain. Right, we're coming up to the final 2. I've only got one Wii U horror game, because the other horror game that I want for it, Project Zero, is expensive, and I refuse to pay that price. So if I can get it for a decent price, then I will pick it up. I could always import the PS4 versions, but there's no English subtitles or voice acting in them. So. But we've got Zombie U. Now, I owned a Wii U for the past few years. I played this first actually on the PS4 when it re-released then, and I'm pretty sure it was part of PlayStation Plus. But the game's amazing. Like it's pretty much, it's more like a serious Dead Island, but nowhere near as fun. So in Dead Island you just run in and bash everything, whereas with this, you can very easily get swarmed and killed and taken out. And it's kind of like the premise of the game is you spawn as a survivor, male, female, whatever, and if you die as that character, then you have to go back to where you died, but as a different survivor, and get your loot off the corpse, which is carrying it, so you become a zombie. And I'm so annoyed because I never beat this game. I got to the very, very end, and it was the part where the alarms were going off, and I knew it was the end. All I had to do was escape, and I got killed just before escaping. One character I had the entire game didn't die, died at the very end, and it spawned me all the way on the other side of the map. The very start of the game it spawned me, and there's no fast travel, so I would physically have to walk all that way. No weapons, no nothing, so I just left it. But it's definitely a good game. I think I'm going to try it with the Wii U because I like the touchpad. So, right, now we've got the Wii. A lot of people give the Wii a lot of shit because it's the Wii. There's a lot of crap games on it and a lot of shovelware games, but what can you do? It's the Wii. But there's some good horror games and some enjoyable horror games, and the best version of Resident Evil 4, in my opinion, which is Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition. And it also has my favourite cover art of Resident Evil 4, which is the white and black. I think it looks very slick. But yeah, it's pretty much the GameCube. It's literally the GameCube version of the game. Upscale visuals with the Wii aiming. It kind of turns it into like an arcade shooter. Brilliant. It's not got the PS2 port issues where the PS2's got that horrible red tinge and the trees have got no foliage, the water's crap. It's just a downscaled version of everything that the GameCube version was, but this is literally the GameCube version, but better, with the additions of separate waves from the PS2. So, awesome game. Now we've got Resident Evil: The Dark Side Chronicles. Now, if you like games such as Time Crisis, and anything that's kind of like on rails, House of the Dead, stuff like that. This game, actually, I'll do both. You've got Resident Evil: Umbrella Chronicles. Now, this, I think, if I can remember, this sets place between. It kind of gives you a bit of backstory on Krauser and Leon, as well as going through Resident Evil 2 and 3 with Nemesis. I'm pretty sure that I've not played it for a while, but I'm pretty much sure that's true. And then you've got Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles, which it pretty much explains how Wesker got out of the mansion before it blew to bits. As well as, I'm pretty sure, Resident Evil 0, the remake ones. But brilliant games, on-rail shooters. You got your remote, reload, pick up weapons, bang, 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 headshots with bonus damage, stuff like that. It's just, they're so fun to play. They are just a treat to play, to be honest. You can beat them fairly quick, but they're just so fun. And finally, Cursed Mountain. Now this is more of like an atmospheric kind of horror game. It's made in like ghosts and a cult type of thing, but it's still a good horror game. It's very moody. The only issue is a lot of the areas look similar, so you get lost quite easily. But £2.50, corny dialogue, nothing really to complain about there, so it was a good find. And that concludes my games, my horror games at least. I've got a whole load up there and I'm still collecting. But yeah, this is my first video. I hope you liked it. I've not got a big as a collection as other people, but it's my collection, and I've just told you my experience of the games and who I learned them from and what I think of them, and I've done exactly that. So, but yeah. So thank you for watching, anyone, if anyone did. It's a fairly long video, coming up to 45 minutes now. Jesus. So yeah, but thank you very much for watching, and like, subscribe, whatever, I don't really care, you don't have to, just if you like my stuff, just watch my stuff and I'll be very appreciative. And I'm a kind guy that swears a lot. So I'll see you later. Ta-ra.